So I got this comment on my channel recently. I thought this was really interesting. I want to answer this question. This is from someone named Carlton, and he says, I've been looking for someone to answer my question. Why is it that Adobe only makes mobile apps for iOS? Don't we all pay the same amount each month? Apple 10, Android 0. I don't get it. Okay, let me explain this much. I've actually contacted Adobe about similar issues, asking them the question whether I should be using a PC or a Mac for my apps. And at first, when they answered the question, they were like, hey, it doesn't really matter, it's a personal choice. I was like, wait a minute. Please go back to some of the people that are in the various teams that you work with and let me know what they're actually saying about this. And what the cool thing was about Adobe, they took their time with the question and they asked some people from their teams what do they prefer and what was the reason. And the reason I even asked that question to them, because I also told them there's a lot of people who ask me questions about what kind of computer they should be using specifically for these Adobe applications. What is the best solution? So when they got back to me about this, it was really interesting. Some people said, well, it's just a personal preference. Other people said what the advantages were, say if you're using a Mac and the experience of using a Mac and why they like it. And this was really helpful because when we're talking about an experience with a computer, we're not just talking about purchasing a computer and then just using the applications. You guys know it doesn't work that way. You are actually getting an experience, and if you don't like that experience, it's really going to interfere with your work. So for myself, I found that the experience with Windows was not good, and when I'm using my Mac now, I find it's very simplified. I also find the updates don't interfere with what I'm doing, and that's really important to me. Now, as far as Apple and iOS and Google with their Android platform, Adobe really focuses in on Apple, I think, as far as their main priority, because this is a reflection of the market. I would say the core audience for Adobe applications, even for the desktop platform, most likely are going to be Apple users. And also when companies are going to Adobe for questions about how they can better their company to use the Adobe applications, I think a lot of them are using Mac computers. That's my personal opinion, but that's a reflection again of the market where a lot of designers are going to Apple and Adobe sees that interaction, and a lot of Adobe apps have to do with development and design, and when you mix all of that together, you're going to find a lot of people are using a Mac. Now as far as mobile, yes, a lot of people are using Android. Android is the most popular platform in the world with the most users. But the situation again is when a company sees a core group of their users not using that platform, you're going to see stuff like this where they start developing a lot of applications for iOS first and then Android. There are Android applications from Adobe. You have to look in the Google Play Store. You'll find Adobe applications there, where there be variations of like Photoshop and some other stuff like Lightroom, but you're talking about what focus that Adobe has. I'm saying my personal opinion, and I'm not speaking for Adobe, but with all of this, I think this is something they're doing because of what they see out there from users and also the market itself. Because when I look at other companies even, and they start developing things for iOS first still, when they know that the most people in the world are using Android, you know, there has to be some other reason. So what they're seeing is that maybe it's a priority to them because they want to have that connection with Apple. They're the most successful company in America. They have the most money. What would you want to be connected with? A company like Google, who's valued really less than them, or the company who's making the most money, has a lot of users and knows a lot about profit? Because when you create an application for iOS, it's not just about creating that application for iOS, it's actually having all of those users talk about it and then actually using it. So, you know, I'm not saying Android users won't use an application like that, but we're talking about values of a company. I really like Google. I like Android. I think it's the best platform out there for mobile. But when we talk about these connections with other companies such as Adobe, you have to look at it from their point of view. They're trying to make the best connection the quickest way possible so they can get more users to be interested in their company. My personal opinion about iOS, like I said in the previous video, I don't like it. But if a company doesn't want to develop for Android first, that's fine, because when you guys get to that and realize that so many users are using Android, which I'm sure you understand right now, we're going to get the applications also. So for Carlton out there, I would say don't worry about that too much. If you're an Android fan, like myself, use Android. It's an amazing platform. There's a reason why it's the most popular. Anyways, this is the part of the video where you guys sound off. Let me know if you're using a PC or Mac or iOS or Android. And if you're using Windows Phone, you can let me know about that too. For some reason, I laugh about Windows Phone, but whatever. You guys can let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions, post them too, because I might answer them in the next video. This might be the beginning of a new series called Ask Jonathan. And of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.